live. Yeah, we going live. Hey, we going live. Yeah, we going live. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
All right, so another example of how white mediocrity just always gets awarded over. I'm sorry, should I not say that?
Go straight for the jugular.
Yeah, because it really makes me mad to see coaches like, you see a coach like what's his name? I was about to call the man from Maury, not Maury, Jerry Springer.
Oh,
I was about to say Steve Wilkos, but that's not his name. The coach who was fired from Arizona after one season, black coach.
Oh gosh, I don't remember his name.
I can't think of his name off the top. He was a black coach. He got 1 year in Arizona. He didn't do well. They got rid of him immediately. And we see that time and again with black coaches. Meanwhile, a coach like Adam Gace can go and be awful.
Steve Wilkes.
Okay, that's Steve Wilkos. Lord have mercy.
Yeah. Steve Wilkes.
A coach like Adam Gace can go and be awful in Miami and then turn around and as soon as he's fired by Miami, get another head coaching job with the Jets. And it's just mind-numbing that he could be this bad. He can get vouched. And this is how, not white supremacy. What am I trying to say? This is how white privilege works, right? Where this coach is, by all accounts, not a good coach, right? He may have been a good position coach, right? Every good position coach isn't a good head coach.
No.
Got the opportunity to prove, he didn't do it, and got another opportunity, right? Based off of the word of somebody else.
Right.
So the level of cachet that he's been given to be this bad for this long is just criminal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a player like, a coach like Eric Bieniemy, who at the top of everybody's list.
Yep, that's who I think about.
Who by all accounts is like an offensive genius.
Yep.
Or, to shout out, somebody I got love for, Pep Hamilton, who is the quarterback's coach for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Who is one of the reasons why Justin Herbert is over there playing well.
Right.
HU alum.
Oh Lord, okay. Oh
God. He was the head coach of the DC Defenders before the league broke down.
Okay.
And thankfully he got another opportunity in the NFL.
Right.
Because he was also the offensive coordinator for Michigan under Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I already know how you feel about that guy.
Yeah.
But him, Byron Leftwich, another,
you can go on and on, honestly.
And it's like they don't get these opportunities, but this guy can stink and still be a head coach in the NFL. And it's just, I just don't understand it. But to add insult to injury, this past weekend, they were in a game that they were winning, especially up by 10 points in the fourth quarter. They should have won. And
they've only won one game this year, by the way.
Have they won one?
I thought they won one.
Nah, I think they're still over. That would have been their first one. Yeah,
okay.
That's
even worse.
They're still defeated.
Yeah. They're still defeated.
Greg Williams, who by anybody who has watched the Greg Williams defense knows that he is the Bruce Arians of defense. So when Bruce Arians says no risk it, no biscuit, that's how he is on the defensive side of the ball.
You knew that's what you had. Yeah.
So he calls a zero blitz. And for those of you who don't know, the zero blitz is where everybody's covered man to man, and all of the receivers are covered man to man, and everyone else is rushing.
You bring the house, yeah.
So he's done this plenty of times. If you look at clips on ESPN, they show how in Hail Mary situations,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to blitz because he doesn't want to give the quarterback time to run around and get set up to do something spectacular. But the only problem is that no one got to the quarterback on the zero blitz, and they scored a touchdown, and the Oakland Raiders scored a touchdown, and the Jets lost the game.
Yeah.
So Adam Gase's defense, his defense for allowing, because head coaches have the right to veto, for lack of a better term, any
all we had to do was call timeout.
Yeah, any call
timeout. Let's talk about this before we wait. Because you hear just like everybody else what's being called.
What's being called, because so how it works is each of the coaches have a headset, and they can all communicate with each other.
Yep.
Well, the head coach is the only coach that can communicate with both the offense and the defense, because the defensive coaches don't communicate with the offensive coaches.
Right.
It's kind of all partitioned in that way.
Right.
So all of the communication comes to the head coach. Mm-hmm. So when this was communicated that he was running the zero blitz, Adam Gace said that he was distracted.
Yeah. Talking to somebody, I think that's what he said.
On the last play of the game, you are distracted.
That should get you fired right there. Period.
Throw the whole franchise away. The owner, the GM, if they got a president, throw him away.
I'm just saying.
Throw the fans away. No, I'm just playing. That's one of them. You're just taking it too far.
You just go overall. Wait a minute now. You can't be. They are 0-12, by the way. You can't be 0-12 as a head coach. Come out and say I was distracted on the last play, talking to somebody else on the last play of the game.
Right. And
then, how do you still have a job? I don't understand. It makes no sense. And this, he's been looking for this excuse the whole season because Greg Williams.
You've been one of the five Greg Williams. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a holdover from the old regime, from Todd Bowles. So you were looking for a reason to So
and don't get it twisted.
I need them to find a reason to get rid of you.
Greg Williams is a great defensive coach. He's a great defensive mind. He has been a part of some really good defenses in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So I don't worry about him. He will land on his feet.
Yeah.
I think that whole Bounty Gate thing is one of the things that really has stuck with him and the reason why he has not been a head coach in the NFL.
Right.
But by all accounts, players love him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, players have come out and say that they thought that was a stupid call. So
well, I mean, and guess what? Every coach makes stupid calls.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it is what it is, and he's a gambler. You said it already, so it is what it is. He did it, I think, in the game in that same game earlier. So what do you expect?
Yeah,
just whatever.
Me and my teammates were joking about. Shout out to Coach Keith Gilmore, who was my defensive coordinator my first 3 years of college. He ended up leaving and going and getting some amazing opportunities. He ended up going to coach at the University of North Carolina. He coached at Cincinnati with Brian Kelly, who then took him. He went to Central Michigan first with Brian Kelly. Then the entire staff ended up going to Cincinnati. Yeah. And the entire staff ended up at Notre Dame. So he's been some really good places. He has some really good players who he's turned out because he's a defensive line coach, like by nature. Okay. And so he went and he's gone to do some amazing things. But me and some of my teammates joked about how Coach Gilmore during that Hail Mary would have probably called cover 3, which for those people to know, 3 people deep.
Right.
And how he would call cover 3 against 4 wide.
What? That makes no sense. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry for y'all who doesn't know what that means.
Well, please. all you need to know is 4 versus 3 is not a good
exactly.
number.
Somebody's gonna be open.
Somebody's open.
But shout out to Coach Gilmore. I love you, man. All right.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you are as sick of this as I am, but especially after his weekend with Lil Baby. James Harden is really, really trying to force his way out of Houston.
Why do we have to go through this with somebody every year? Like, this is disgusting. I'm sick of this. Why are we acting like babies? Just good grief. I'm sorry.
Like,
go ahead.
You remember the name of our very first podcast, like the name of that episode?
What was it? Oh my! Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
It was 90 episodes ago. No, sir.
Right. It was titled "Let's Be Professional."
It was. I remember now. Yes.
And so, James Harden, come on, man. Like, I get it. Like, you are trying to get to where you want to get to. You are upset about how things played out. I completely get that. But one of the things that you're doing with your actions is lowering what the Rockets can get in return for you.
Yeah.
And if I'm the GM or the owner, I'm not just giving you up for anything. Mm-hmm. So the more you go out and act like a baby about getting, about trying to force your way out, like the worse you're making it on yourself. So I'm tired of hearing about it. Like, unless the Nets are gonna give up Kyrie Irving, there's no way that they can make that work there. Yeah. And KD has kind of he didn't come out and say it, but apparently, like, you know, he's content with Kyrie, and he doesn't care to do a swap KD for James Harden for Kyrie.
Been there, done that already. Been there, done that already.
Right. But now he's opened up his options. Have you seen that? Mm-mm. Well, he said that he is open to going to play in Philly. He is open to going to play in Miami. And the shocker, he is open to going and playing in Milwaukee.
Ooh. Now that might be interesting right there.
No, it won't. And I'm going to tell you why.
Ooh.
A couple of years ago, when they did when they started the whole All-Star draft, Giannis stated when someone asked him, "Oh, we thought you were going to pick James Harden," he stated, "Oh, nah, I need somebody that's going to play defense." And then James Harden comes back and says, I mean, well, all you got to do, like, he's not really skilled. You just standing around the basket and.
Oh, so they're going to not have a good, okay. All right. Well, the chemistry won't be. Well, then I think Miami would be a good spot for him then.
You think Miami?
Mm-hmm.
So who does Miami give up for him? You know how I feel
about Joel Embiid. So I'm like, don't nobody go help him.
That'd be perfect for him. Mm-hmm. He could actually go to work on the block and he'd have some spacing. The issue between Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and this is why I think it will always be an issue and why it won't work, is that they both pretty much clog the lane. Ben Simmons is trying to get to the basket. He's not a shooter.
Right.
And we see that he's not even trying to be a shooter. He won't even take the shots. And so what it also forces Embiid away from the basket to try not to clog the lane.
Right.
And Embiid has been shooting, even though he has a pretty good percentage for a big man, he shoots too many threes. And so what this would do with James Harden and Embiid is it'll allow Embiid to be in the paint more because James Harden is a threat from three.
Yeah.
So it creates spacing, is what I'm saying. Like,
so is the trade for Ben Simmons?
Oh yeah, if I'm the Rockets,
because I'm like, wait,
you got to give me.
Okay.
If I'm the Rockets, you got to give me Ben Simmons. Like, there's nothing else in that deal that you could do that would be, you know what I'm saying, good enough for me in return. Like, this is a young person who I can build the team around. Yeah. You know, even though I don't know how it would work with John Wall and Ben Simmons, that would be a thing.
That is going to be interesting.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying.
I just need him. He's pulling this is what they do in the NFL. He pulling one of them numbers.
Yeah.
I don't show up to training camp and I hold out and then y'all whatever. Go be a professional, sir, and let them work this out for you. They understand where you are. The coach has been real clear. We get it. He don't want to be here.
Right.
So I'm just saying, just go to work and let them work this out. They don't want you there if you don't want to be there. I'm pretty sure. So just go to work.
And I feel like Stephen Silas, even though, you know, in the media he comes off with this, you know, nice demeanor, I feel like he probably has said that to him. Like, listen, you want to come to work? No? All right, we moving on without you.
Yeah. I mean, he has to.
Yeah.
He has to. For sure.
All right.
Okay.
So
this is hilarious. I'm sorry.
We have a new Olympic sport coming in 2024.
Listen.
Which is crazy because, you know, it'll only be 3 years in between the Olympics. So we couldn't have it this year because of COVID.
Right.
So 2024, one of the sports that'll be added to the Olympics is Olympic breakdancing. And so initially, my first thought was, like, I thought it was on some culture vulture stuff, right? Like, but after more of a careful examination, I think this is an ode to the culture, right?
I do. That was my first thought. Like, I do. I thought it was, it is an ode to the culture.
Right. So when I say culture vulture, I think about how things in and of the culture get monetized by people who aren't from the culture, right? Like when we look at hip hop and we look at, we see these hip hop artists and we think to ourselves like, oh, they sell a lot of records, they must make a lot of money. And the reality is they've been stolen from.
Yeah, Andre 3000's words were just in my head when you first said that. Like, I've been going through the same thing that you had.
Right.
I live like you live check to check.
Right. If you don't move your feet, then we won't eat. So we like neck and neck.
Neck and neck. Yeah.
Right. That's the perfect verse for that too.
Yes.
And so it you know, I'm so grateful for like artists like him that drop them gems in them verses. Like but it's so I don't know what happens with the Olympics or like how it's monetized, stuff like that. Like obviously it is, but I just like to see like how this plays out. You know.
Well, I feel like it's an ode because it took hip hop and let's talk about breakdancing specifically, started here within what's not so affectionately called the hood, right? And it has blown up into an international phenomenon of dancing that people across the world do now. And so for me, that's why it's become an Olympic sport, is because it's such a huge international thing that I feel like that is why. And so to me, that's where the homage to it comes from. Like the fact that it was, you know, it started in this small little place and blew up into something that the way hip hop did, basically.
And I look at, you know, breakdancing or b-boying, like it's one of the pillars of hip hop, right? You know, you got the DJ turntablism, you got the B-boy, you got the you know, the MC, right? And so, my bad. I always do this when I talk about hip hop and the pillars of hip hop. I always leave out the graffiti artists.
Oh yes,
former artists.
Please do. Yes.
I apologize, but you know, I think I'm trained to look sketchily at anything like that. Like, it's not that, obviously I want everything to be on a grand level, right? But I look at stuff like, you think about the game Fortnite, right? In the game Fortnite.
Know nothing about it, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know much about it either. The only thing I know is that they use like the dances from some of these, you know, these popular, these popular hip hop dances, and they make a bunch of money from it. And the people who created this stuff don't see a dime.
Aren't being paid. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
you're right.
Like, it's exploitation at its finest, and it's unfortunate that like everything that we create, you know, I won't go down to this rant about capitalism or whatever, but everything that we create tends to get stolen and sold, you know what I'm saying, and we don't profit from. So
my aunt would be like with her fist up with you.
Really?
That's her rant all the time. We can't have nothing.
Nothing, right? Shout out, Auntie.
God. Yeah.
But you know, it's like you want it to be out there. And I think two things can be true. I would love it to be out there. I would love for it to be out there. But I would love for the people who should be compensated for it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
I get that. Of those things I agree. I agree.
All right, so I think this next story about the NBA. I think so
listen, before you start, I was so excited about what we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Right.
Because I feel like, you know, I'm not a basher of people, especially not black men.
Oh, wait. No, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. So this right here, this next subject.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I see.
Is, so the NBA has relaxed its rules. And when I say relaxed,
they're not testing relaxed. Anybody. They're not testing anybody.
Pun intended.
Yes, relaxed.
Has relaxed its rules on marijuana use. And honestly, this has been long overdue because there have been people on former players who have been advocating for the league to relax its stance on marijuana. Yeah. And I think we had this conversation before. I feel like we had this conversation before because I think that I was speaking about how, as an athlete, opioids were pretty much readily available.
Right.
And without even doing much of a study, you could see the effects of opioids on athletes. And so guys like Matt Barnes and Al Harrington, I was about to say his name's just dropped out of my mind, but then it popped back in, have been behind the scenes on the front line.
I'm sure.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. All the smoke.
Trying to get right. All the smoke. trying to get the NBA to relax its standards on this. And I think it's a good idea. You know, when you hear about a player like, I guess that's the NBA, but AI, who talked about his marijuana use, I think maybe he was in college.
Yeah, because he all the smoke he talked about.
How
Coach Thompson saw him.
Right.
Yeah, hot at night. Yeah.
But I think if it's used responsibly, I think it's a good idea.
I mean, I have no opinion one way or the other. If it's gonna help somebody, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Like, if it's gonna help you, then I'm all for it. Anything in moderation, nothing abused is
right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's and honestly, this is just another huge leap in marijuana becoming legal across the country.
Right.
Because
a few states passed, right? I believe the state of New Jersey now.
A few more, yeah. So, I mean, it's just, I always compare it to Prohibition.
Mm-hmm.
It was just because they couldn't figure out how to make money. When they figured out how to make money off the liquor, then it was like, oh, well, sure, liquor's fine. Like, nothing's wrong with liquor. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's the same thing. So, it's just a big leap.
Yeah.
We always talk about how sports and the leagues are kind of mini versions of the country as a whole. So this is just us seeing what's probably about to take place within the whole country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it won't be a big deal. So whatever floats your boat, that's all I say. Literally.
No pun intended.
Yes, it was. Whatever floats your boat. Yeah.
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 All right.
Now put the cameras on me, 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 put the cameras on me.